You can feel it, can't you? That low-level hum of anxiety that kicks in every time you tap your card at the grocery store or watch the numbers spin on the gas pump. It's that sinking realization that despite getting a raise last year, despite canceling the streaming services you don't use, and despite doing everything your parents told you to do, go to school, get a degree, find a stable job, you feel like you're slowly slipping backward on a treadmill that just sped up. You aren't imagining it. You aren't crazy. And most importantly, you aren't alone. We are standing on the precipice of a 20-year financial event that is going to fundamentally rewrite the rules of wealth in this country and, frankly, the world. This isn't about a recession or a market crash or the price of Bitcoin next week. This is about a structural shift in the global economy that creates a fork in the road. One path leads to a permanent underclass, a life of renting, subscribing, and working until you're 75 just to keep the lights on. The other path leads to sovereignty, asset, ownership, and freedom. The terrifying part is that the default setting, the path of least resistance, the path of doing nothing, is the one that leads to poverty. Ignoring this shift is an active choice to be left behind, and the window to choose the other path is closing faster than most people realize. To understand why this is happening, we have to strip away the headlines and the political noise and look at the raw, unpolished math of modern life. We need to look at a guy we'll call Alex. Alex is 32 years old. He's a smart guy, works as a project manager, and makes $85,000 a year. On paper, specifically, the paper used in 1990 Alex is rich. But Alex lives in 2025. And in 2025, $85,000 isn't what it used to be. Let's dissect his paycheck because this is where the illusion of the middle class falls apart. After federal tax, state tax, FICA, and benefits, Alex takes home about $5,200 a month. He feels responsible, so he follows the old rules. But the world has new prices. The average rent for a decent one-bedroom apartment in a city with job opportunities is hovering around $2,000. Boom, nearly 40% of his income is gone just to have a roof. Then there's the car. Alex isn't driving a Porsche. He drives a reliable mid-range SUV because he needs to get to work safely. But in this economy, the average new car payment has spiked to over $730 a month. Used cars aren't much better. Add in insurance, which has skyrocketed by 20% in the last 2 years due to repair costs and climate risks and gas, and Alex is spending $1,000 a month just for the privilege of commuting to the job that pays for car. We are down to $2,200 remaining. Now Alex has to eat. He's not dining at steakhouses every night. He shops at Kroger or Trader Joe's. But have you seen the price of olive oil lately? Or beef? Or just basic produce? A conservative grocery bill for a single male in a metro area is easily $500 a month if he's eating healthy, plus another $300 for household items, toiletries, and the occasional takeout when he's too exhausted to cook. We are down to $1,400. Then comes the ghost of decisions past student loans. The average payment is around $400. We are down to $1,000. Utilities, internet, phone. That's another $250. We are down to $750. Now Alex needs to live. He needs clothes, he has a gym membership, he buys a birthday gift for his mom, maybe he goes out for drinks twice a month. Let's call that life, category $500. Alex is left with $250. He saves it. He puts it in a high-yield savings account and feels proud. He did the math, he stayed in the black. But here is the brutal truth that no one tells Alex he is losing. He is losing because while he saved $250, the price of the assets he needs to buy to actually become wealthy, houses, stocks, land, went up by way more than $250 that month. The house he wants to buy one day appreciated by $2,000 last month. His savings are a melting ice cube. He is running a race where the finish line is moving away from him faster than he can run. This brings us to the core of the 20-year event. We are entering a period of the Great Divergence. This is the separation between the asset class and the wage class. For the last 40 years, you could get by on wages. You could work a job, save a little, and buy a house. That era is dead. It was killed by monetary debasement and asset inflation. You see, when the government prints money, and they have printed trillions since 2020, that money has to go somewhere. It doesn't flow evenly into everyone's pockets. It flows into assets. It flows into real estate, into the S&P 500, into gold, into scarce resources. If you own these things, the inflation makes you rich. If you do not own these things, the inflation eats your paycheck. This is the K-shaped economy. The top leg of the K goes up. Those are the asset owners. The bottom leg goes down. Those are the wage earners. Alex is on the bottom leg, and he doesn't even know it because he thinks having a good job is the safety net. It's not. A job is just cash flow. Wealth is equity. The urgency of this 20-year window comes from three converging forces that are hitting us all at once: the great wealth transfer, the debt spiral, and the technological disruption. Let's start with the wealth transfer. Over the next 2 decades, roughly $84 trillion is going to pass from baby boomers to Gen X and millennials. This sounds like good news, right? Wrong. It's only good news if you are in the lineage of people who own assets. If your parents are renting, or if their wealth gets consumed by end-of-life care, which is an entire industry designed to siphon wealth before it transfers, you get nothing. This transfer will create a massive inequality gap. You will see friends suddenly buying houses in cash while you struggle to make rent solely because of the birth lottery. If you are not positioning yourself to build your own pile of assets now, you are betting on an inheritance that might never come, or worse, watching everyone around you level up while you stay stagnant. Then there is the debt spiral. The U.S. national debt is moving vertically. We are adding $1 trillion of debt every few months. Why does this matter to you sitting at your kitchen table? Because the only way a government deals with debt that high is to inflate it away. They have to devalue the currency so they can pay back the debt with cheaper dollars. This mathematically guarantees, that holding cash is a losing strategy over the long term. If you keep your money under the mattress or in a checking account earning 0.01%, you are volunteering to be taxed by inflation. The purchasing power of the dollar has dropped significantly in just the last 5 years. Imagine what happens over the next 20. If you have $10,000 sitting in a bank today in 20 years, that might buy you what $3,000 buys you today. That is the cost of inaction. That is the safety of the bank account destroying your future. And finally, the technological disruption. AI and automation are not just buzzwords. They are deflationary forces for labor and inflationary forces for corporate profits. If you are a wage earner, you are competing with software that is getting smarter, faster, and cheaper every day. But if you are an owner of the companies that use this technology, you benefit from that efficiency. This is why the stock market keeps hitting all-time highs even when Main Street feels terrible. The companies are becoming more efficient. They are making more money with fewer people. If you don't own a piece of those companies, you are on the wrong side of the equation. You are the cost they are cutting, not the profit they are generating. So why do we stay stuck? Why does Alex keep doing the same thing? It's psychology. Our brains are wired for a world that no longer exists. We suffer from something called normalcy bias. We assume that because things have been a certain way for the last 30 years, stable inflation, affordable housing, the 60-40 portfolio, that they will continue to be that way. We refuse to accept that the paradigm has shifted. It's like standing on the beach watching the water recede before a tsunami and thinking, wow, look at all those cool shells, instead of running for high ground. We are also paralyzed by loss aversion. We are so terrified of losing $1,000 in the stock market that we ignore the guaranteed loss of purchasing power by keeping it in cash. We feel the pain of a red arrow on an investment app viscerally, but the erosion of our money by inflation is invisible, slow, and painless until you wake up 10 years later and realize you can't afford to live. This psychological trap is reinforced by society. Look at the marketing around us. It's designed to keep you a consumer, not an owner. You deserve it. Treat yourself. 0% APR for 12 months. The entire system is engineered to extract capital from the bottom 90% and funnel it to the top 10%. Every subscription you sign up for, every car you lease, every BNPL buy now pay later scheme you utilize is a transfer of wealth from your future self to a corporation today. We judge our success by the optics of wealth, the shiny car, the nice clothes, rather than the reality of wealth, which is a boring spreadsheet of assets that pay you while you sleep. We have an entire generation trying to look rich while getting poorer. So how do we break the cycle? How do we move from the path of the withered tree to the path of the golden city? It requires a complete mental reboot. You have to stop viewing money as something to spend and start viewing it as something to deploy. You need to become a capital allocator, even if you only have $100 to allocate. The first step is confronting your gap. The gap is simply the difference between what you earn and what you spend. Remember Alex. His gap was $250. That is not enough to escape velocity. Alex has two choices: drastic cuts or drastic income expansion. The frugality gurus will tell Alex to cut the coffee and the gym. Sure, that helps, but you can't save your way to wealth if your biggest expenses, housing, and taxes are fixed. Alex needs to attack the big structural costs. Can he move to a cheaper area? Can he house hack, buy a duplex, live in one side and rent the other? Can he drive a $5,000 beater car instead of a $35,000 SUV? These are unsexy, painful choices. They hurt the ego. But driving a beater car for 5 years so you can funnel $700 a month into the S&P 500 is the difference between retiring early and working until you die. But the real lever here is income. In an inflationary environment, your labor is the only asset you can reprice immediately. If you are not getting a raise that beats inflation, you need to change jobs, change industries, or acquire a skill that the market values highly. This is where the fear of AI flips to opportunity. Learn to use the tools. Be the person who leverages technology to do the work of 3 people. The economy rewards leverage. If you can produce more value, you can command more capital. Once you have the gap, let's say Alex gets his gap up to $1,500 a month, you must automate the deployment of that capital. You cannot rely on willpower. Willpower is a finite resource, and you will run out of it by Friday afternoon. You need a system. On the day his paycheck hits $1,500 should automatically disappear into investment accounts. It should feel like a tax. It should be gone before he can convince himself he needs a new TV. And where does it go? It goes into assets that have historically outpaced inflation. Broad market index funds real estate, perhaps a small percentage in speculative high-growth assets. The goal is ownership. You want to own the apartment complex, not rent the unit. You want to own the bank, not pay the overdraft fees. You want to own the technology company, not just use the iPhone. This is a mental shift from consumer to capitalist. And I know capitalist is a dirty word to some. But understand this, the game is being played whether you like the rules or not. You can sit on the sidelines and complain that the game is rigged, and you would be right, it is rigged towards asset owners, or you can pick up a controller and start playing by the winning rules. The 20-year clock started ticking yesterday. Every month you wait, the price of entry gets higher. The house you want costs more. The stocks you need are more expensive. The compounding window shrinks. Let's look at the math of waiting. If Alex starts investing that $1,500 a month at age 32, assuming a conservative 8% return by the time he is 52, the end of our 20-year window, he will have roughly $880,000. Not bad. But if he waits just 5 years because he's scared of the market or wants to enjoy life and starts at 37, he finishes with roughly $520,000. That 5-year delay cost him over $350,000. That is the cost of hesitation. That is the price of fear. And that $350,000 difference is likely the difference between a dignified retirement and becoming a burden on his family. But there is a deeper layer here beyond just the stocks and bonds. It's the concept of anti-fragility. In a volatile world, you cannot just be robust, you have to be anti-fragile. You need to position yourself so that chaos benefits you. This means holding assets that people need, not just what they want. It means eliminating bad debt credit cards, high-interest loans, because debt is a shackle that forces you to say yes to bad bosses and bad situations. When you are debt-free and have a pile of assets, you have the power to say no. That is the ultimate wealth. The ability to walk away from a toxic job, the ability to weather a recession without panic, the ability to help your community because your own oxygen mask is secure. The next 20 years are going to be turbulent. We will see currencies falter, industries vanish, and new ones emerge overnight. The safe path of the 20th century, the pension, the gold watch, the steady climb is gone. It has been replaced by a dynamic, ruthless, but incredibly high-opportunity environment for those who are paying attention. The bifurcation is happening now. The train is leaving the station. You can see the people running for it. Some are weighed down by consumerism, dragging giant TVs and leased luxury cars, and they can't run fast enough. Others have shed the weight, they've educated themselves, they are lean, and they are jumping on board. You have to decide which version of the future you want. Do you want to be the person in 2045, looking back, blaming the government, blaming the economy, blaming the system for why you are struggling? Or do you want to be the person who looked at the landscape in 2025, saw the storm coming and built an ark? The information is free. The tools are available. You can open a brokerage account on your phone in 3 minutes. You can learn a new skill on YouTube for free. The barriers to entry have never been lower, but the stakes have never been higher. Don't let the fear paralyze you. Let it mobilize you. Let the fear of being poor in an expensive world drive you to cut the fat from your budget today. Let the fear of irrelevance drive you to learn AI tonight. Let the fear of the great divergence push you onto the side of the owners. Because here is the beautiful thing about compound interest and asset inflation. Once you are on the right side of it, the wind is at your back. The first $100,000 is a grind. It is brutal. It requires sacrifice. But the second $100,000 comes faster. And the third, even faster. Eventually, the system starts working for you instead of against you. So this is your wake-up call. The 20-year event isn't coming. It is here. It started while you were scrolling social media. It started while you were debating whether to buy the new phone. The separation has begun. The bridge between the haves and the have-nots is being drawn up. You still have time to run across, but you have to run. You have to make the hard choices now so you don't have to make impossible choices later. Look at your bank account. Look at your spending. Look at your skills. Be ruthless. Be logical. Ignore the noise. Ignore the neighbors keeping up with the Joneses. The Joneses are broke, by the way. Focus on the math. Focus on ownership. Focus on the long game. Because 20 years goes by in the blink of an eye. And when you open your eyes in the future, you want to be standing in the city of gold, not the withered wasteland. The choice is yours, and you are making it right now.